Welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls. Over the last few years, I have built a business that allowed me to quit my 9-to-5, spend more time with the ones that I love, and live my best life. Now, I'm sharing everything I learned along the way with you. Each week, my guest and I will share actionable tips, tangible advice, and honest conversations to help you build your dream business. So get ready to take notes and put in the work because this girl means business. Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Girl Means Business podcast. Okay, so honesty time. I had an entirely different podcast episode that I was going to put out this week. In fact, I started recording it and I was just I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel like it was something, I wasn't able to speak from my heart on it. And so last minute, I changed the topic idea. And so today we're going to be talking about how to find your business BFF. And I don't just mean one person. This topic in this episode is all about how to find connections as a business owner that are going to not only help you grow your business, but help you as a person, help you work through the things that are difficult, struggling with, have someone to bounce ideas off of, and also share in those successes. You need someone that's going to be your cheerleader. And as much as we would love to think that our spouses, our significant others, our family members are those people for us, they just don't always get it. Unless you run a business of your own, it's so hard to relate to what it's like because it's not like any other job you probably have ever had. When you're running a business for yourself, you are all the things. So you are not only the owner and the CEO and the CFO and the marketer, and you are the HR person and you are the front person. You are everything. You're doing all the jobs. And it can be really overwhelming and stressful at times. And so having someone or a group of people that have your back, that understand the struggle, that can offer advice, or just be someone that you can call up and say, hey, I need to vent for a few minutes. Those are the people you need to have in your life. And if you have those people already, you are doing amazingly. If you are new to starting a business and you don't have that group yet, this episode is going to help you find that group. So one of the reasons that this is the episode I'm choosing to go with this week instead of the other episode I had originally planned is because I just finished meeting with my group of business women that I meet with once a month. This is a group of women that I had this vision back in January that I wanted to start having monthly meetings with other amazing boss babes in my area. I wanted to make connections. I wanted to originally educate and kind of get my education brand started. And it did kind of come out of the idea of I want to teach other women. So I had this idea for a business brunch where once a month we would meet, we'd have brunch, we would talk about a topic, and we would share ideas. And it quickly turned into so much more than that. It started off with about 12 women, and through the year, we've kind of whittled down to about usually 7 to 8 each time. But the idea that every month we get together and we talk about the things that we have succeeded in. We always start off our meetings with, tell us something good that's happened in the past month. And then from there, we go around there and we say, okay, tell us something that you're struggling with that we can maybe help you with. And we have laughed and we have cried and we have helped each other out. And it's been really incredible to see the friendships that have been created. And these are some of the women that when I'm having a really low day, I will call and I'll say, okay, talk me through this. Talk me off the ledge. Help me get through this season because I am struggling. And as difficult as it is sometimes to be vulnerable and to say, I'm struggling with this, it's so nice when you have somebody that you can call up who's not going to think less of you or judge you or be like, oh, well, you're supposed to know it all because you're the girl with the podcast and you're the one with this. No, I don't know it all. That's why I have experts come on here. But it's just nice to have somebody that gets it. My husband is an amazing support system for me. My mom is an amazing support system. I have incredible friends outside of the industry that are a huge support system. They are wonderful, but they are not in the trenches with me, and they only understand so much. So having that support system around you that gets it is such a value. And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. Because when you think about the fact that you're running a business, you are by yourself a lot of the time. The times that you might have times with clients, obviously, but a lot of times what you're doing involves behind a computer screen or in an office by yourself or on a laptop or a phone or whatever. It's very lonely. And when I transitioned from teaching full-time to business owner full-time, that was the first thing I struggled with. I didn't expect to feel so isolated. I went from having all these women around me all day long that I could easily just pop across the hall and say hi to, or that I could walk in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what happened last night. My kid was being a brat. Or, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I didn't have that anymore. I literally had nobody to talk to. And it made it really difficult to make that transition. And so I turned to a couple different spots and places to find these people. And we're going to walk through and talk through that today. But once I was able to make those connections, it made a huge change in my business because I no longer started feeling as burned out. I no longer felt like that the struggles I was having were specific to just me. I had other people that were like, no, that's happening to me too. It changed my mindset. It's crazy how being alone all day, every day, and in your own head can mess with you. And it makes it really hard to run a business. So if you're in that spot right now, whether it's because you work full time and your business is a side hustle and you don't really have many people that understand having a side hustle, or you're full time in your business and you are now doing it all on your own, whatever your situation is, I guarantee you at some point you have felt the same way. So I want to walk through a couple of the ways that I have made connections. And again, this is just my perspective, just like this entire podcast. It's all experiences that I've had. So you may have other ways in your area to meet with people, or you may have other ideas. These are the places where I have found the best connections to find my business BFFs. So number one is Facebook. Facebook right now, especially right now, is a perfect place to find new BFFs because they are really pushing Facebook groups. That's Facebook's main focus right now, is on cultivating and creating a place where people can find groups of other people with their same interest. And so I found myself not only creating my own group that blossomed into something really incredible, but I also joined other Facebook groups and started making friendships through the Facebook groups. Some of them are local, and so I'm able to meet up with people on a local scale. Some of them are, networking groups from all over the US. And so you meet people in other areas. And the greatness that, because we are living in the best time to have an online business or a business of any kind like this, because it's so easy to connect with people anywhere and everywhere. And I've had virtual coffee dates with people before that have been some of the best conversations I've had, because we just hop on a Zoom call or a Skype call and we just chat for an hour. And it doesn't matter that they're sitting in their house in North Dakota and I'm here in Texas and we both have kids running around in the background. We can still have a face-to-face connection and conversation that continues offline. So when you're thinking about Facebook groups as far as creating connections, I know a lot of times we're like, well, that's great, but it's all online. I need someone I can pick up a phone call and talk to. You never know where you're going to find your next connection. Several years ago, my husband was going to Las Vegas for a conference and I was going to tag along. At the last minute, I said, you know what? While I'm there, you're going to be in classes or conference all day. I'm going to set up a photo shoot. I always wanted to shoot out in the desert. I had this vision of like this old vintage car in the middle of a desert, sort of this road trip, broke down the side of the road vibe. And so I went into a Facebook group for Las Vegas photographers and models. And I just said, hey, is it okay if I post this? I'm coming to visit Vegas. I want to do a photo shoot. Who wants to help me? And I had this lady respond and she said, hey, I'm local to Las Vegas, but we're getting ready to move to Dallas soon. I would love to help you with this shoot if you then can help me when I get to Dallas. And I said, yeah, that sounds fabulous. Let's do it. Just expecting it to be sort of a one-off, like, let's do this thing. And then we met. We drove around for a couple hours the first day I was there looking at locations and immediately became great friends. She helped me with the photo shoot. We got along perfectly. She moved to Dallas for a couple months. I think they were here for maybe a year. Hung out all the time, became really close friends. They now live up in Washington State, I believe. And we still talk. We still are Facebook friends. We chat through Facebook. We do Voxer. And I never would have met her had it not been for a Facebook group. So don't write off Facebook groups because it's all online. It's really easy for people to think it's online. It's not a real connection because it's somebody that lives in a different state or different country or whatever. You never know where you're going to find that connection. And even if it's just messaging on Facebook back and forth, I have met amazing people that way through like conferences that we've gone to, and we'll start messaging back and forth going, hey, I'm going to this conference too. Let's meet up and have drinks. Or I am going to the conference and so I'll be at this class. I'd love to hang out with you or meet you or whatever. Again, don't let the fact that it's a social media platform deter you from making meaningful and lasting relationships. So Facebook is number one. Number two would be local networking groups. Now, I know some people have mixed emotions about networking groups because there are people who say, well, I go to them and, I end up, I'm talking to like plumbers and hotel managers, and that's not really what I'm in. I get that. But again, just like with Facebook, you never know where your next connection is going to come. And if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to meet anybody. And so while every event you go to might not be a home run, it might not be where you find your person, it's at least getting you out there. It's at least getting you in front of people. It's getting your business in front of people, if nothing else. And you never know who you're going to meet. You might find a friendship in the most unlikely place. I love talking to other business owners that are not in my industry because they bring a different perspective to things that I don't always see. So some of my closest business besties are hair and makeup people or florists or boutique owners or hairstylists and interior designers. And they have a different view of business that isn't just photography. So don't be afraid to step outside of your niche. If your specialty is photography or your specialty is you design jewelry that you sell on Etsy, don't just focus on other jewelry designers on Etsy because you find these little gems in other places. And if everything that you're getting comes from the same pot, everything's going to be the same. So don't be afraid to dabble in a couple of different areas. So finding these networking events where it's not just specific to your industry can be a great opportunity to meet some amazing people. I personally tend to focus on women-only networking groups, and I have found that those are really great for meeting people that are a little bit more likely to become someone that I'm going to go spend time with. I'm probably not going to go hang out with the male roofer that I met that owns his own company, but I might hang out with the girl who manages a real estate company or whatever. And so networking groups are really good for finding people, but you have to be willing to also foster those relationships. If you go into a networking event, just like with anything else, just like going into a Facebook group online, you can't go in there one time and expect to find your BFF and it just be smooth sailing from there on. Sometimes you have to go in and you have to kind of court somebody a little bit. It's like dating. I mean, really, that's kind of what it is. It's like dating all over again. So you have to sort of figure out, who am I going to, vibe with? Who am I going to get along with? And then you have to be willing to foster those relationships. You have to be willing to say, hey, let's go grab coffee. Let's make time to get together. Let's make time to, meet up for lunch, or let's go to this other networking event together and see how that goes. Let's ride together. I'll come pick you up, or we'll meet at Starbucks, grab a coffee, and we'll drive together to this place. Because I love those times when I can go grab somebody and we drive around in the car for a little while. Those are the best conversations. You're kind of trapped there together. You have to talk to each other. So make it work to your advantage. But again, I digress. With the networking groups, just know that with any relationship, you're going to have to foster that relationship. All right, number 3, if you aren't finding a group that has the type of people that you're interested in becoming friends with, then create your own. This is sort of what I did by accident years ago, and it's been one of the best things I did. When I first started my photography business, and I'm pretty sure I've shared this on the podcast multiple times, but I didn't know anybody else that was a photographer. I didn't really know anybody else that owned their own business aside from people who did like Mary Kay. And I didn't have anybody to talk to. And so my poor husband was tired of hearing me talk about it. And as much as he tried to feign interest, I could tell he was just sort of done. So I went on searching for a group, and I didn't find one that existed yet. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create my own. I went on, I created a Facebook group. It was literally just me in there by myself for a while. And then I think I mentioned it to another photographer I met while I was out shooting on location somewhere. And she joined, and then she knew a handful of photographers, so she asked them to join, and it just grew from there. And so I couldn't find what I wanted, and so I created it for myself, and through doing that, I made some of the most amazing friendships. In fact, the group of women I was talking about that we meet once a month, they're all from that Facebook group, and the connections there. And so it's just, if you don't see something in the world that fits what you're looking for, don't be afraid to create it, because I guarantee you somebody else is looking for the exact same thing. They just haven't created it themselves yet. So be the first one. Create a networking event. Create a Facebook group. Create a Facebook Messenger, text group or whatever. But don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and create what you're looking for. So my last tip for finding and cultivating a friendship with your business BFF is you have to put in the time. And I mentioned this a few minutes ago with the networking events. You are not going to have those relationships unless you are willing to invest the time needed to foster them. Again, it's just like dating. You're not going to be able to create a lasting relationship with somebody if you're not willing to go on dates. And so when you are looking for somebody to be your business bestie, or you're looking for a group of people to spend time with and to talk to and to get to know, then you have to be willing to put in that time, whether that is through text messaging, instant messaging on Facebook, whether it is getting together in person for coffee or lunch or creating events to go to. Make the time. We are all so busy. Every single person right now, if you say, hey, what's your schedule like? They're probably going to say they're busy. I don't know a single person in my life that isn't busy, except maybe my 3-year-old, and she doesn't count. But everybody's busy. It's all about what you are willing to prioritize and what you're willing to put value in. I value relationships. I know that I need those relationships and I need that time in order to make me feel better, in order to help me get out of my own head, in order to help me grow, in order to help me stay mentally healthy. I need those relationships. One of the girls said it perfectly today at our meeting. She said, I've got so much editing I should be doing right now. It's busy fall season. I have tons of sessions I need to edit. She goes, I almost didn't come because I had these sessions to edit, but man, I'm so glad I did because I needed this. And if you're listening to this episode right now and you're thinking, I want a business bestie, you need this. And so make the time. I have started doing this just personally and professionally with all of my friendships, all of my relationships. If I see something that reminds me of somebody, I will text them. Just this morning, I sent a text to my best friend that I've known since I was 5. And I said, hey, I've just been thinking about you. And I sent her like a funny little photo. It wasn't anything super meaningful. It wasn't anything, this long conversation. Obviously, she lives out of state now, so we can't really get together all the time we want to. But just that 5 seconds it took me to send her that message, it kept our relationship going. It's so easy nowadays to let things just die off that you have to put in the time and effort it requires to maintain a relationship with somebody. You have to be willing to pick up the phone every once in a while and say, hey, let's just chit chat for a while. I'm driving home from this place, or I'm headed to a photo shoot, or whatever it might be. Let's just talk. How's life? What's going on? If you don't have time for a phone call, send an email, send a text message. It is so easy to connect with people these days, and yet we don't take the time to do it as often as we should. So here is my challenge to you this week. Okay? Couple things. Challenge number 1. I challenge you to either join a Facebook group or go to a networking event and meet somebody new. Just say hi to somebody. All you introverts out there, I know you're cringing at this. You can do it online. It's fine. Go into a Facebook group and introduce yourself. Just get that connection out there. Throw out that fishing line and see what happens. That's challenge number 1. Challenge number 2, I want you to connect with somebody you are already friends with that you haven't talked to in a while. So send that text message, send that email, make that phone call, and re-spark that connection. Again, it doesn't take a lot, okay? It just takes a few moments. Just send a quick text that says, hey, I've been thinking about you. How are things going? Schedule a lunch with somebody. Schedule a coffee with somebody. Just an hour of your day, one time a week. Make an effort to keep those connections. I know this is not necessarily a quote unquote business or marketing tip, but these relationships are so important to helping you grow your business, because I cannot tell you how many times I would have shut down my business had I not been talked off the ledge by somebody that I am friends with as a business friend. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat in tears, just done, just burned out, done, ready to throw in the towel. And I get a text from somebody that's like, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while. And it helps bring me back. You can be that for somebody, and you need somebody to be that for you. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you for letting me ramble on. Thank you for letting me just sort of put my heart out there for y'all. I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, dear Lord, I wish she had gone with whatever the other topic was that she was going to talk about this week. But I just felt like it was placed on my heart to say this, because I think it's so easy for us to feel alone, and I don't want you to feel alone. I want us to all have a circle of women around us that will lift us up and support us. And if you need a business bestie, I will be it for you. Message me, send me a text, send me an email. I'll be there for you. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. I will see you back here next week. Same time, same place. Bye, guys. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you never miss when a new episode goes live. Then head over to iTunes and leave a quick review to let other people know just how much you loved it. Thanks, ladies. See you next week.